Well, hey, Jenny, it's really good to be on Must Love Travel Chat today. What are we talking about?
We are going to talk about Sandals Resorts in the Caribbean. We actually have one of our travel advisors, Brooke, who just returned from some training in St. Lucia, actually, and she was able to tour a few of the Sandals Resorts. So we're going to chat with her all about it. But I know you've been to Sandals before, right?
Yeah, we love Sandals
You
Resorts.
do.
We
Tell
love,
me a little bit about maybe like your favorite thing about Sandals or why you love it.
yeah, well, we love Jamaica first. So just that location, the people, the food, the island, just, I don't know, Jamaica's a cool place. I just love
Yeah.
it that, it's such an easy trip from Florida. So for us, Jamaica, even post COVID, Jamaica is kind of an easy thought trip for me, right? I can kind of just go there. Easy to pack, easy to get there. It's an island, right? I mean,
Yeah.
you don't have to take a lot of elegant evening wear. You don't have to plan a lot, right? It's shorts and t-shirts and flip-flops. It just works really well.
So which Sandals resort in Jamaica is your favorite? Because I know there's quite a few.
Yeah, the one we love the most, I think. Now, we're not talking about beaches. Beaches is another resort, part of the Sandals family, I know. But we love beaches, Turks and Caicos. I'll come back to that in a second. But the one that we love is our most recent trip. We went to Sandals Grill. And I think primarily we loved it because of 7 Mile Beach. It's just a great location.
That's a great spot. Have you ever splurged or had the luxury of having a butler while you were at Sandals?
Now that you mention it, we were fortunate enough when we stayed at Negril that we did do the $1 million butler suite. My wife is a great travel advisor and kind of got us I don't know how she did it. So we were fortunate enough to stay in a butler suite for that trip. And I got to tell you, it really does spoil you. You really get used to that service. It's incredible.
That's awesome. I haven't done it yet. It's on my bucket list. Stay at Sandals and have a butler.
They literally take care of everything for you from the time you wake up. Leslie and I are early risers. This is a funny story about our butler at this stay. And you have two butlers. So we had, there's like a morning butler and an evening butler or whatever. They work in shifts. And so our morning guy, Leslie and I are early morning risers. So I like to get up and, get coffee and go for a walk. And then Leslie will get up a little bit later or whatever. And then we'll go to breakfast. But we're usually up and out pretty early. And we did that for a few mornings. And finally, I think the second or third morning, our butler said, tomorrow morning, I'm going to meet you guys here because I think we were actually leaving before he was here. Because they like to take care of things for you. Your butler will come around and, he wants to check in with you in the early part of your day just to find out what you're doing for that day. He'll make arrangements for you for dinner. He'll make arrangements for you down at the beach. He'll make sure, we would walk by as we would go down for breakfast or I go out for my walk. I'd see our cabana was already set up and had our name on it.
Oh,
he reserves your beach cabana for you. So you've always got a good spot on the beach. And yeah, not that life at a Sandals resort in any category is hard, but I would say the butlers definitely make life a whole lot easier for you while you're there.
that's awesome. That's awesome. So, but before we head over to talk to Brooke, anything else about Sandals that you want to brag about or?
Well, we talked about it being an all-inclusive resort, and it is, and Sandals likes to say that they are the number one, not number one, the luxury included brand. And they say that everything is included, and basically it is, all your water sports, including scuba diving. We were talking about that before. Leslie and I, probably pre-kids were a lot more avid scuba divers than we are today. I try to get out once in a while, I haven't been out in a long time, but they make diving so easy, Jenny, and it's all included. I mean,
that's cool.
That can get really expensive in the islands if you think about it. Anywhere, if you want to go on a scuba diving trip, particularly for flying, you're not able to take all your gear, you're going to have to rent gear. You're going to have to, charter a boat, get on a boat, whatever you have to do. All this stuff, fill your tanks, all this stuff starts adding up. Everything is included and everything is taken care of in Sandals. And I'll tell you, Leslie and I have been, again, pre-kids, not so much our latter day traveling was scuba diving travel, but we kind of started in travel, in scuba diving travel. And so we dove in a lot of places around the world. And I'll tell you, some of the best diving we've ever done and some of the most professional, well-run diving we've ever done has been with Sandals and beaches. To the point of, I remember one year we dove in Turks and Caicos, and the dive master that we had, the guide, she was trained by National Geographic. I mean, she was a marine biologist, was just very knowledgeable about marine life, and was so into the reefs that we were diving on and stuff. It was just, helping us out, knowing what we were looking at, describing things and all that. So just really, really awesome. Their equipment is great. I mean, we have friends that we go with, again, around the world, and every diver kind of likes their own mask. And, there's certain pieces of gear that even if you're renting a VC or, borrowing, tanks and the bigger parts of your gear, divers like to bring certain things with them so that they have their own. Well, we have certain friends that will bring everything. That's a lot to bring. And I've been sitting on Sandals boats when the gear that I borrowed was nicer looking than the gear that my friends brought that they were so proud of, And the other thing that I'll say about the way that Sandals runs their dive operations, again, not only do they have the best equipment, the best boats, dive masters and captains and people on the boats, they're looking out for your safety and making sure that everything is squared away with you while you're on the boats. Even before you get out to the boat, they're going to make sure that not only do you have your sea card with you, not only do you have a good logbook to show that you are a diver and that that you have certain skills and have been doing this, they're going to ask you to show them. I remember the first time we went diving with Sandals, we had to assemble our gear, show that we could do that, get everything put together, get in the water and show the dive master in the pool before we even went out on the boat. They have a pool right there next to their dive place, because you can train or learn to scuba dive while you're in the islands as well. So they do have that going on. But, we need to get in the pool with the dive master and show, neutral buoyancy and, basic skills that, hey, this is not my first day out here, which is important for the diver, but also important, for the people running the dive operation, as well as the other divers on the boat. I mean, nobody wants to have their dive trip interrupted because someone doesn't know what they're doing or got hurt or whatever. And they're going to make sure that everybody that's out there is out there because they know what they're doing and are going to have a really good time.
That's awesome. That's the Sandals difference. I think, we talk about it in a lot of different ways, but just knowing how well they take care of their divers, and that's a great program. Well, thank you for sharing. Let's go check out what Brooke has to say.
Wait, let's see it.
All right. So Brooke just got back from St. Lucia, and I'm really excited to talk to you about the island in general, some of the new health and safety protocols that are in place, traveling out of the country right now, and maybe we can touch on some of the resorts that you visited. How's that sound?
Sounds great.
Awesome. So let's start with, how was it getting to St. Lucia? What new policies did you have to follow? Was it tricky or was it easy?
Well, it definitely was new. We had to get a negative PCR COVID test. It has to be within 7 days of travel. So, for example, I was flying out on a Thursday. So the previous Friday was the earliest I could get my test. And sometimes those PCR tests can take 5 to 7 days. So that's a little stressful. So I did some research and found a clinic that had very quick results. I actually got the results the next day. So it's really important that you get with your travel advisor that can help you through these details, because it can change. We learned that in the middle of our traveling, that something changed while I was in St. Louis. So I got my negative test, I had to submit through the St. Lucian Tourism Board a request to travel. And I sent them my negative test, and I had to fill out, some medical questionnaire. Were you exposed? Things like that. And then I got an email back from St. Lucia saying that you're approved. And I kind of wanted to do a little happy dance, like, yay, I get to go. Which I have to say too, with my airfare, I made sure that I got the insurance, because it's so important to back your travel investment with insurance, because if something closed or you needed to change your plans, I had that security. So I wasn't as stressed through the process, because I knew if something happened, then my investment's protected. So I got my negative test. I filled out the paperwork to get approval. And then once I flew, right now they're requiring masks on the plane. Everything is so clean. They sanitize it in between. It was a packed plane, but I felt very safe. I flew first class, which was great. They were serving us some food, but everybody else was getting like crackers or pretzels and a little bottled water. So it's good to kind of plan ahead. If you're flying, you can bring food from the airport. And once we got to St. Lucia, then we got off the plane. We met with some nurses where we gave them our negative test. They gave you a little hot pink wristband. I thought I was going to a club or something. No. But I don't really understand what the pink band was, but they just took my test and we could take it off when we got to the resort. So it was a little time consuming, but they do have some procedures in place where you can actually pay. I think it's like $50 to get front of the line access.
Okay.
And talk to your travel advisor there are other destinations that when you land and you have to show your negative test, where you can pay. A lot of people don't know that exists. So that's a great perk. It's worth its weight in gold to not have to wait, to just go through and get to your resort.
Now, you mentioned that things changed while you were there. And so we'll just point out that you went and came home from St. Lucia just days before the new policy where you have to get the negative COVID test to come back to the US. But I know you mentioned also that you did receive a lot of information about that. And do you want to talk a little bit about what you've learned, if it was resort specific or it just in general?
Sure. So it was a little shocking, because especially for a lot of countries that are requiring the COVID test, I'm thinking, I was only there for 3 nights. So I'm thinking, I just took a test last week.
Right.
How many times do you have to get up my nose? There are different regulations. Like there are some where if you've had it within a week or, and the policies are changing. When we were there, we all got the notification. Luckily, we flew home before it was required to come back. I wasn't concerned personally. I've had COVID and I've been tested for the antibodies. So I wasn't carrying that stress, because I knew that I wasn't going to have a positive test. And that gave me comfort, because I had been in contact with my doctor at home to know that I wasn't going to affect anybody and I wasn't going to be affected myself. So that gave me peace of mind.
Yeah.
But what was scary for the most part for other people was the thought, what if we tested negative while we're there? What's going to happen? And
what if we tested positive, you mean? Right? What if we?
Yeah.
Yes. What if you tested positive? No, that's
negative from home.
That's one of my concerns, honestly, too, because I'm like, how long am I gonna have to stay there, and how much is it gonna cost me? And I know that's a big concern for people.
Yes. So I will put a plug in that it's so important that you work with your travel advisor to get a great resort that has policies and procedures in place for this. And as an industry, I can speak for myself, and I know other vendors, we were in shock when we got this requirement. Like, what are we supposed to do with this very quickly?
Mm-hmm.
And everybody did a fantastic job, the vendors that we work with. So Sandals, for example, what they did is there is a section of one of their buildings that's just for COVID. If you happen to be positive, it's separate. And they are offering free cancel for any reason vacation insurance. It's normally maybe a couple $100 per person, depending on your package, but they're offering that complimentary through the end of March.
Mm-hmm.
So if you do test positive, then if you have to quarantine for 14 days there, all of your expenses are covered.
Wow.
You've got that insurance. You have a section of the building where they'll take care of you. There are doctors and nurses on property,
Mm-hmm.
and having that insurance will help you in those regards. So we got to tour those areas that had the nurses station. There was even a nurses station across the hallway from my room. So they have different areas where they're very, very prepared. So it's not really a bad thing, I guess, if you're positive for COVID and you're stuck in the beautiful Caribbean. But
Now,
the food variety was not any different than what I was used to for all inclusive. They had breakfast buffets. I went to that one morning, and they have an actual buffet, and there's a picture that I took of a lady who she had a shield on, she had a mask on, she looked like she was about to go into surgery, and when you walk into the buffet area, they're like, don't touch. They even have signs like, don't touch. And they are there to serve you. So like, she
Gotcha.
followed me around. I was like, I think I'll have a bagel. Can you get me a banana? They were so nice about it that I couldn't even get a thing of jelly for my bagel. It's like, could you one of those, and so it was really nice that there was such a huge variety. There was an omelet station. There was a smoothie station. They had eggs, and there's so much variety. So it wasn't like some of the other places that I've been to here in the States. When you get a continental breakfast, you get an orange and a muffin.
Right. And they're just like a prepackaged donut
Right. And that wasn't the case. The food was the exact same. They were just serving it themselves. They were covered, and you walked around, you had your mask on. And that's another thing. 90% of the resort is open air. Mm-hmm. So you weren't reminded of COVID. Mm-hmm. I know that so many of us have been affected. We've lost loved ones, and it's a very stressful time. And going to St. Lucia, I forgot about it. It was a great escape, a mental escape, because I can sit on the beach. I'm not thinking about my mask. I'm walking around. It's normal. It's so spread out that they're able to safely accommodate. They're only operating between 30 to 40% at the resort. So the only time I had to wear my mask was when I walked into a restaurant to get to my table, or I went into the gift shop, and I could breathe. It was a wonderful mental health break.
Well, those are important, and it doesn't minimize the seriousness of it at all. I think it's good for us to do that. So I'm glad you had that experience.
One thing that I think sets Sandals apart is that you can stay at one and visit the other resort. So if there's another outdoor activity or place you want to eat, you have those exchange privileges. With the current situation with COVID going on, they are not doing the exchange privileges. So I was there for work, to explore what the island is like and what Sandals has to offer. So they got special permission for 5 of us to be able to visit a second resort. So it's important right now. I think I personally felt very safe traveling. It was well worth the effort of going, but when picking a resort, it's important to know that as of right now, that's where you're going to be planted. So I visited Sandals Regency La Toc, and I visited Sandals St. Lucian the Grand. Mm-hmm. And they're both stunning. properties. They're both very different in a good way. They kind of hit different different needs for different people. One might be geared more towards if you want to go with a group of friends, and another one is very secluded, very private, and very mountainous. They're both stunning properties.
I think that's something a lot of folks don't realize about Sandals is even though the service is the same across the board and all of the things that they're known for are the same, each resort really has a different vibe. And that goes for all of the islands, all of the resorts. So, you know, like you said, it's important. That's why travel advisors are here to help pick out the right one for you and what you're looking for. A group of friends versus, you know, a honeymoon or anniversary.
Right. Well, and one thing that surprised me with the Latak property was, well, St. Lucian was formed by volcanic rock. And I did not know that. I mean, it's unbelievable. It's stunning. So there's a lot of steep mountains everywhere. And Latak is in the middle of an inlet and mountains. And it's a little cumbersome for people who have mobility issues. So we were able to tour different room types. So it's so important that when you get with your advisor that you discuss the different room categories, because one of the highest categories is very difficult to get to. But you have a butler and they have an SUV little golf cart to take you to it. But that was very helpful seeing how that was set up, because what you see in the picture, it doesn't show you the location where it is to the restaurants and the pools and things like that. So it's great to be able to talk to your advisor about if you do have mobility issues, or if you just, there are some room categories that you don't even have to ever leave your room. You can have your food brought to you, your own pool, your own jacuzzi. You just don't want to leave your room. I mean, it's phenomenal.
That's great. I personally haven't been to a Sandals property yet. I've been to a couple of beaches properties, but I am dying to go to St. Lucia. That the island just seems so friendly and wonderful and beautiful.
They have great service. I have to say, I mean, I've experienced a lot of different cultures and their service. And one thing that I loved about the St. Lucian people is that they welcome you almost like into their family. You know, I've been some places where they want to serve. And I've been to other places where it's just kind of like they're checking off the box. Yes, here's your wish, your command, you know. But there was one night that they had like a dance party or whatever. And there were two ladies that they had their masks on and they had, you know, their sandals attire, and they had a cleaning wipe and a spray. And they're all over the place. Like there's a guy, he looks like he was an exterminator, you know, like these spraying for bugs. And
Yeah.
he was sanitizing. I took a picture of him. And every few minutes, just in the main lobby, he's spraying down the chairs. You know, it's, even if COVID goes away, I like this. I like things clean, you know, but so we were dancing, and these ladies, I see them kind of in the corner, and they're like doing a line dance. And they were like, and then they come out and they're teaching all of us a reggae line dance that I've never learned, and everybody joined in, and they have their like spray bottle, and it was so much fun. It was like they're not keeping to themselves. They treat you like you're here and you're a guest. And I love the people there. I had not 1 inch of bad service. They're very, very hospitable. And I can't wait to go back. I want to see those ladies. I want to learn more dances. They were great.
Hopefully we can all go back soon and have fun. And I'm so glad you got to do that, though. I'm so glad you had that experience.
Me too.
Well, thank you for sharing. It was really fun to chat with you.
Thanks for having me.
All right. Have a good one.
You
Bye.
too. Adios.